put together.
No.
Actually, that's not a bad idea. You could slideshow a poem so that people can read along in case they can't.
I would think, yeah, like, or, yeah.
You can give the link.
Have some sort of, I can put a link up, especially if I do a bit of burns, like, so people understand what is actually being said.
Hi, everyone.
Yay, Kazura.
Hi, sweetie. It's been so long since I've been in story time. Oh, I'm back.
Where have you been?
Just
Working.
different state. How was Night Circus?
So good.
Oh, good.
Very exciting.
It got epic towards the end.
Yeah. Are you on catch up on YouTube?
I've already read it
Ah, okay.
before with my eyes.
As opposed to
With my ears.
Listening.
So now I'm not catching up on it.
we've got a slight echo.
Someone's echoing.
I don't know how we know who it is. Okay, it's not me.
We could do an experiment.
Quick, everyone mute yourself except one person.
At a
Everyone
time.
talk one at a time.
It must be Ainsley.
I was just muted.
Who just spoke?
I did, Ainsley. But I was muted for that whole conversation about the echo.
In that case. Right, I'm still trying. I'm trying to find that poem for you, Gordon.
Oh, which one? I asked for
The kissing again.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know where it's gone.
Yeah, egal.
I will find it. It's got to be in here somewhere. I don't really know how we're going to do this. I kind of had an idea that I would know exactly what everyone wanted to read or have read, and that we would work out a schedule. That hasn't really happened. So I think we'll maybe just do see if we can intersperse serious, heavy / sexy, sensual poems with kind of light-hearted, nice, happy ones, so that
Sounds like a good plan.
it doesn't all get too much. And periodically just stop for a bit. People can have a bit of a chat about poetry or not poetry, whatever. No, fuck it, let's just read a bunch of poetry to each other. I think I'm making this more complicated than it needs to be. I will find... God, I got a lot of poetry, man. It's only when you could go through and try to find one specific one. Is there anyone else who we are expecting that we know is going to come along?
I feel like we're missing a few regulars, but I'm not sure that they're necessarily planning on coming along.
I have got a list somewhere of who is...
We've got all the important people.
Have we got everyone that said
You can't say that because we're recording this, so anyone
sorry.
who's watching it is going to hear you say that.
Oh my God, we're missing.
You can edit that, it's fine.
We're still missing Katie, who said that she was going to...
Oh, we've got Katie. She's called If That Spoon.
Oh, it's okay. I didn't recognise you because your name is not your name, and also you are under a chair. Showing us your face. Hello, in that case. I didn't realise that you were here with us. Okay. I promise. Talk amongst yourselves briefly.
Well, in exciting news, I'm back in my own house.
Yay!
Background's different.
Yeah.
That's cool.
That's so exciting. How are you feeling?
Oh, see, check out the name kanji on my thing.
Yay! Oh, nice.
What's it like to be back?
It's pretty nice. I rode my bike today, which is something I normally do every day and haven't done for 4 weeks. So that was good. And yeah, it's just nice It is nice being back in my own space, but it's also nice that I've got a date when Alan will get back. Otherwise, I think it would be still quite stressful.
Oh,
Yeah.
good.
Yes.
Right.
Did you paint your own kitchen chairs, Bina? Because it's a job and a half.
We didn't, and we have two that still need painting and are therefore just not painted.
I mean, mine was black, so I needed to put on a load of undercoats. This is its third coat.
Will that be it, or will it need more?
No, this should be it.
They're looking great.
Why, thank you. I painted my chest of drawers as well. Which is there, and all the drawers are on the floor.
Good.
Ah, that's what they are.
God. Oh, okay. I found it. I found it, Gordon. It's right.
Hey, Helen.
The one that you sent to me. I think can we start with this one? So are people ready to start? And are people in the mood for some poetry?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not. If I press mute all, does that mute me as well? No. I'm still talking and you all can't talk. Is that right?
No, it's not muted us.
Oh, have I not? No. I don't understand Zoom. I may just need to rely on people to mute themselves. Yes,
Hey,
Sam.
Valerie, you're just in time.
Sam, you're so much better at this than I am. Okay, so I'm gonna try muting everyone, and then I'm gonna put it on the speaker view, and then I'm gonna start with a poem that Gordon has written for Storytime. Gordon. So this is called Decanting a Bottle on a Saturday Night. I am sitting comfortably. You may begin to see me like a spoon, an object with curves. And if you peer very closely, you can see yourself in me with a carnival mirror flip. Yes, yes, I consent. You can hold my handle, taste the words I bring you, turn me over in your mouth, slowly, gently, release me from between your lips. We have more metaphors to explore. See me like a dessert, drizzle me with caramel calligraphy, set me on a low simmer. Then let your voice sprinkle the spices, then pop me like popcorn. Unbottle this poetry and let us drink deep, tipsy on rhythm, longing for rhyme. I am no longer sitting comfortably, but please, you may begin.
Fuck yeah.
That's so good.
That was pornographic.
It's a little bit more sexy when you read it.
Sounds like it's about bonus.
I feel I should have had the spoon. The spoon should have made a guest appearance for that.
Oh my, Gordon.
How we do? We got up to a flying start.
Wow. Yep.
Okay, like full disclosure, like 2 of the other poems that Gordon has requested from me are very sexy as well.
Gordon!
Man's got taste.
And which I'm thrilled about, but I'll maybe not front load this whole episode like a bunch of poetic descriptions kissing. We'll maybe go for some like Burns and AA Mill for a bit.
Yeah. Some foreplay, if you will.
Exactly. Foreplay if I will,
Right.
and I will. So, who would like to go next?
I like the concept of literary foreplay.
Best kind of foreplay, right?
Is there any other kind?
Yeah, who have we... Michael said that he would like to do some Burns or some Betjeman.
Yeah.
Would you do that, Sweetness?
Yeah. Look, the very first poem ever memorised was Slough by Betjeman. So I thought I'd do that.
Perfect.
And it...
Change of tone.
Yeah, big change of tone. So,
Right, hold on. I'll mute everyone else and I'll put you on speaker view. Cool. Right, ready when you are.
So, come friendly bombs and fallen slough. It isn't fit for humans now. There isn't grass to graze a cow. Swarm over, death. Come bombs and blow to smithereens those air-conditioned bright canteens, tinned fruit, tinned meat, tinned milk, tinned beans, tinned mines, tinned breath. Mess up that mess they call a town, a house for 97 down, and once a week a half a crown for 20 years. And get that man with double chin who'll always cheat and always win, who washes his repulsive skin in women's tears, and smash his desk of polished oak, and smash his hands so used to stroke, and stop his boring, dirty joke, and make him yell. But spare the bald young clerks who add the profits of the stinking cad. It's not their fault that they are mad. They've tasted hell. It's not their fault they do not know the bird song from the radio. It's not their fault they often go to Maidenhead and talk of sports and makes of cars and various bogus Tudor bars, and daren't look up and see the stars, but belch instead. In labour-saving homes with care, their wives frizz out peroxide hair and dry it in synthetic air and paint their nails. Come friendly bombs and fallen slough to make it ready for the plough. The cabbages are coming out. The earth exhales.
Yay.
Wow.
I love that one.
Brilliant. Beautifully done. Beautifully done. How exciting. Who would like to go next? Oh, I'm having a little look at who we've got. Would anybody like to read something next?
I can read a short and cheerful poem.
That sounds good to me.
I need to find it. I think I know it off by heart, but it is hard to know. When you start reciting things, that's when you forget them. This is one that my granddad first told to me. And it's cormorant or shag lays eggs inside a paper bag. The reason, you will see, no doubt, it is to keep the lightning out. But what these unobservant birds have failed to notice is that herds of wandering bears may come with buns and steal the bags to hold the crumbs.
Yeah.
So cute.
Very cute. Very cute.
Poems which I can intersperse with heavier, sexy ones if people like.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I'm always here for that.
Shag.
Rory, I have missed you at Storytime, I'm just saying.
Yeah. Yeah.
Gordon, you're in a different room as well. Where's your white wall?
It's behind me. It's just that I'm on the computer so that I can see everyone. It's actually, that's where I normally sit over there. It looks so dark. It's not that dark. It's just a shitty camera.
I've got a request from Kitty, who requested one by Marge Piercy, which I feel would be sort of tonally appropriate to follow now. So if everyone is cool with that, I will go next. Hopefully that's now me on speaker view. So this is called Where is My Half-Used Tube of Tom's Fennel Toothpaste Tonight? It's by Marge Piercy. Here I am, I think, in Des Moines, in Dubuque, in Moscow, Idaho, in a cube of motel room. But where is my wandering luggage tonight? Where is my bathrobe, slippery as wet rock, green as St. Patrick's Day icing? Are my black boots keeled over under another bed? Do my tampons streak across the night, little white rockets trailing contrails of string? Are women in Alaska dicing for my red shoes? Did TWA banish my suitcase to Siberia? Where is that purple dress in which my voice is twice as loud, with the gold belt glittering like the money I hope to get paid? Sympathetic magic to lure checks out of controllers before time moulders. I feel like an imposter, a female impersonator, a talking laundry bag dialing head calls to all my clothes in Port Huron, in Biloxi, in Tucson, collect calls into the night. I'm lonely and dirty. I'm sorry I spilled chili on you, chocolate sauce, Elmer's glue. I'll wear an apron at all times. I'll never again eat tacos. Oh, my wandering clothes, fly through the night to me, homing pigeons trailing draperies like Baroque saints. Come home.
I love that poem.
Yay! I love it too. Thank you so much for recommending it. Ah, goddamn, so cool.
May I make a request?
Hmm?
May I make a request?
Always.
It's not for you, Frankie, it's for Gordon. Gordon, would you read me the Jabberwocky?
Oh my goodness. Seconded.
If I can find it, I'm sure. Man, okay.
That would be amazing.
I don't think I've ever read it before, so it will be a bit weird.
Well, if you want to have a quick glance over it, Andrea, did you say you had some Naira Wahid that you would like to read?
Yeah.
And they are relatively little and short, so that will give Gordon a little space to refresh his mind for Jabberwocky, and we can have lovely.
Yeah. I picked out a few. Gordon, you can just signal me, like if you want me to stop or keep going or something. I don't know.
Well, do you want to do? I mean, how long are they?
They're super short. Like,
say 2 or 3.
Yeah.
Does that sound alright?
Yeah.
Cool. Right.
Right. I'm gonna read a few on poetry. We're going to get meta. Right. Just like this is the book, and yeah, I need to find them. Right. Here. So they don't have titles, so they're just, yeah, I'm just gonna start. I walk into a poem and walk out someone else. Poetry is an infusion of scale and feather, bruise and mist. The poem, the one that is running through your life. Pay attention to that poem.
They were beautiful.
That was lovely. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
I've never heard
I like
such
those.
short poems. They're amazing.
They're super short, and I love them. And yeah, I can really recommend this.
Can we have a list of all the poems or authors, poets after?
Yeah, absolutely.
If you have any. Thanks.
Right, Gordon, do you
Okay.
prepped for Jabberwocky?
I think so.
Okay, right. Let me
Why
just
not?
mute all of these.
I'm using my earphones, so I don't know how well people can hear me, but I'll give it a shot
Let's go.
and read this Jabberwocky, apparently by Lewis Carroll. 'Twas brillig and the slithy toves did gyre and gimble in the wabe. All mimsy were the borogoves, and the momraths outgrabe. Beware the Jabberwock, my son, the jaws that bite, the claws that catch. Beware the Jub bird, and shun the frumious Bandersnatch. He took his vorpal blade in hand, long time the manxome foe he sought. So rested he by the tumtum tree, and stood a while in thought. And as in uffish thought he stood, the Jabberwock with eyes of flame came whiffling through the tulgey wood, and burbled as it came. 1, 2, 1, 2, and through the vorpal blade went snicker-snack. He left it dead, and with its head he went galumphing back. And hast thou slain the Jabberwock? Come to my arms, my beamish boy. O frabjous day, calloo calais, he chortled in his joy. 'Twas brillig and the slithy toves did gyre and gimble in the wabe. All mimsy were the borogoves, and the momraths outgabe.
Amazing.
Didn't realise how much.
Gordon, thank you.
I didn't
That was
realise how much
delightful,
you
but
wanted to pick
also
out
Katie's face. So also super extra delightful.
So I was reading words, so I couldn't see.
Very, very delightful. Ainsley, did you say that you had a one by David White that you would be happy to read?
Yep. It's called Everything is Waiting for You. Your great mistake is to act the drama as if you were alone, as if life were a progressive and cunning crime with no witness to the tiny hidden transgressions. To feel abandoned is to deny the intimacy of your surroundings. Surely, even you, at times, have felt the grand array, the swelling presence and the chorus crowding out your solo voice. You must note the way the soap dish enables you, or the window latch grants you freedom. Alertness is the hidden discipline of familiarity. The stairs are your mentor of things to come, and the doors have always been there to frighten you and invite you. And the tiny speaker on the phone is your dream ladder to divinity. Put down the weight of your aloneness and ease into conversation. The kettle is singing even as it pours you a drink. The cooking pots have left their arrogant aloofness and seen the good in you at last. And the birds and creatures of the world are unutterably themselves. Everything is waiting for you.
Lovely. That was lovely.
I love his
That's
work.
absolutely gorgeous.
We definitely need the curated list at the end.
I'm kind of desperately trying to keep a list as we go along.
We are recording, so you can check again anyway.
Yeah,
Maybe we can.
That is true.
Maybe just each time someone has a poem, they can just paste it in the comment thread.
To the chat.
The story.
Oh, yeah, if people can, if everyone who read a poem can just
That's what it was.
paste it in the chat, that would be much easier and simpler. Thank you, Dan.
I've got another Mira Waheed one as well that I love.
Oh,
yeah,
that one.
It's called, this one actually has a name, it's called Options. You do not have to be a fire for every mountain blocking you.
Oh, wait. Sorry, hold on. You were muted.
I got it back. So it's called Options. You do not have to be a fire for every mountain blocking you. You could be a water and a soft river your way to freedom too. They're all very short.
They're absolutely gorgeous. I've got one that you might like that is called What I Will by Suhair Hamad. I think I'm going to read if that's right. So this is called This Is What I Will by Suhair Hamad. I will not dance to your war drum. I will not lend my soul nor my bones to your war drum. I will not dance to your beating. I know that beat. It is lifeless. I know intimately that skin you are hitting. It was alive once, hunted, stolen, stretched. I will not dance to your drummed up war. I will not pop spin beak for you. I will not hate for you or even hate you. I will not kill for you. Especially I will not die for you. I will not mourn the dead with murder nor suicide. I will not side with you nor dance to bombs because everyone else is dancing. Everyone can be wrong. Life is a right, not collateral or casual. I will not forget where I come from. I will craft my own drum, gather my beloved near, and our chanting will be dancing. Our humming will be drumming. I will not be played. I will not lend my name nor my rhythm to your beat. I will dance and resist and dance and persist and dance. This heartbeat is louder than death. Your war drum ain't louder than this breath.
That was fucking rad.
Isn't that great? Fucking so good, man.
So good.
Cool. Would anyone like to do maybe something a little bit sort of more light-hearted, sweet and or funny? Anybody got one?
I
You
have
can
one.
do some AA mail. Oh, you go.
AA Mill!
AA Mill.
Yes, please, Dina.
Okay, so I think I have most of them because I have this particularly gorgeous version of all of the things. But I don't know. Does anyone have a specific one they like? Otherwise, I might do Forgiven.
Sounds good.
Weasels and Sneasels is very good, if you have that.
Oh, that's true. I think I do have that. That one runs through my head every time I get a little bit like sneezy.
Well, now we have to have that one. That's fucking adorable.
There's also, I'm sure, one about having like cold toes, which is also one that just is in your head if you're in that situation. Okay, Sneasels, I found it. So, Christopher Robin had weasels and sneasels. They bundled him into his bed. They gave him what goes with a cold in the nose, and some more for a cold in the head. They wondered if weasels could turn into measles, if sneasels would turn into mumps. They examined his chest for a rash, and the rest of his body for swelling and lumps. They sent for some doctors in sneasels and weasels to tell them what ought to be done. All sorts and conditions of famous physicians came hurrying round at a run. They all made a note of the state of his throat. They asked if he suffered from thirst. They asked if the sneasels came after the weasels, or if the first sneasel came first. They said if you teasel, a sneasel, or weasel, a measle may easily grow. But humour or pleasel, the weasel, or sneasel, the measle will certainly go. They expounded the reasons for sneasels and weasels, the manner of measles when new. They said if he freezels in droughts and in breezels, then threesels may even ensue. Christopher Robin got up in the morning. The sneasels had vanished away, and the look in his eye seemed to say to the sky, now, how to amuse them today.
Woo! Do another.
For shizzle.
That was
Okay.
very cute.
A sheezel.
All of them all of the poems are very cute. Where are we going?
Right.
You can have a different kind of Alexander in this poem. It's a much cuter one. This is Forgiven. I found a little beetle, so that Beetle was his name. And I called him Alexander, and he answered just the same. I put him in a matchbox, and I kept him all the day. And Nanny let my beetle out. Yes, Nanny let my beetle out. She went and let my beetle out, and Beetle ran away. She said she didn't mean it, and I never said she did. She said she wanted matches, and she just took off the lid. She said that she was sorry, but it's difficult to catch an excited sort of beetle you've mistaken for a match. She said that she was sorry, and I really mustn't mind, as there's lots and lots of beetles which she's certain we could find, if we looked about the garden for the holes where Beetle hid, and we'd get another matchbox and write Beetle on the lid. We went to all the places which a beetle might be near, and we made the sort of noises which a beetle likes to hear. And I saw a kind of something, and I gave a sort of shout, a beetle house, an Alexander Beetle coming out. It was Alexander Beetle, I'm as certain as can be, and he had a sort of look as if he thought it must be me, and he had a sort of look as if he thought he ought to say, I'm very, very sorry that I tried to run away. And Nanny's very sorry too, for you know what she did, and she's writing Alexander very blackly on the lid. So Nan and me are friends now, 'cause it's difficult to catch an excited Alexander you've mistaken for a match.
Woo! What I love about the A.A. Milne poems is that they have such good rhythm to it, like impeccable syllables, you know?
Absolutely.
Yeah, they flow really well, like they're nice to read. So.
Very cool. Rory, I would love some Shakespeare.
It's Kitty's fault because we've been binging the entirety of Star Trek Next Generation, and like
us too.
I swear to God,
Us too.
the writing team have figured out by like the 4th season that they can knock off at about 3 o'clock every afternoon if they make sure the script is a third just Patrick Stewart reciting monologues. Like
Shakespearean actor.
Yeah, well, when you have a resource like Patrick Stewart, you have to mine that shit for as many monologues as you possibly can.
Captain, the crystalline entity is emerging from the transwarp cluster. Ah, yes, this reminds me of a Merchant of Venice.
Cheer up, me lads.
Cheer up, fellas, glory is here. For all that is new in this wonderful year. Okay.
Okay, hold on. Let me cool my fucking shit down. Okay. All right. Okay.
Okay. I actually picked this one. So it's the prologue from Henry V, and I'm not going to do the whole thing because obviously it's huge. But I wanted to do it because one, I really like it, and it's very evocative and all that shit. And also, it was the first piece I learned at drama school, which was like nice. Okay, so I'll just huddle into the mic so it's all like ASMR-y and shit. Okay. Now, entertain conjecture of a time when creeping murmur and the pouring dark fills the wide vessel of the universe. From camp to camp through the foul womb of night, the hum of either army stilly sounds, that the fixed sentinels almost receive the secret whispers of each other's watch. Fire answers fire, and through palely flames each battle sees the other's umbered face. Steed threatens steed in high and boastful neighs, piercing the night's dull ear. And from the tents, the armorers accomplishing the nights, with busy hammers closing rivets up, give dreadful note of preparation. Yeah.
Ooh.
It's so fucking hype, right? Like,
Holy
shit is about to pop off.
Wow.
More?
I'm kind of.
No, that's all.
Storytime is cancelled, guys. We just need this forever.
Notoriously short plan.
That was so fucking good. Okay, hold on. Okay, that feels like it was quite a good segue away from the, we've had some lighthearted, and then we're maybe going into something slightly a little bit more intense. So I'm gonna do Gordon's request now, if that's all right. Gordon, you ready for kissing again?
I mean, yes. Yes, I am.
Right. So this is Kissing Again by Dorian Lowe. Kissing again after a long drought of not kissing. Too many kids, bills, windows needing repair. Sex, yes, though squeezed in between the minor depths of anger, despair, standing up amid the laundry or fumbling onto the strip of rug between the coffee table and the couch. Quick, furtive, like birds. A dance on the wing, but no time for kissing. The luxuriant tonguing of another spongy tongue, the deft flicking and feral sucking, that prolonged lapping that makes a smooth stone of the brain. To be lost in it, your body tumbled in sea waves, no up or down, just salt and the liquid swells set in motion by the moon, by a tremor in Istanbul, the waft of a moth wing before it plows into a halo of light. Praise the deep lustrous kiss that lasts minutes, blossoms into what feels like days, fields of tulips glossy with dew, low purple clouds piling in beneath the distant arch of a bridge. One after another they storm your lips, each kiss a caress, autonomous and alive, spilling into each other, streams into creeks, into rivers that grunt and break upon the gorge. Let the tongue in its wisdom release its stores. Let the mouth, tired of talking, relax into its shapes of give and receive, its plush swelling, its slick, round reveling, its primal reminiscence that knows only the one robust world.
Oof.
I'll be in my bunker.
I've never heard so much like gasping and panting when I've unmuted everything. There we go. There's a slightly sexier one. It's no AA Milne, but I believe, is Sean here? Was Sean?
Hello.
Sean! Hi, Sean! Sean, you mentioned that you were actually slightly saucy poem.
Yep.
So we could maybe have that, and then maybe sort of a little bit of a break for some light-hearted reliefs. Want to, go and get a bit of water and calm themselves down.
That sounds good. I'm accused of only knowing filthy poems, so I hope you will enjoy this one.
Accused. Like how are we phrasing this here?
So this one is called Young Men Dancing, and it's by Linda Chase. Who were those young men dancing, and why were they dancing with you? And what was the meaning of all that business around the area of the pelvis? Both pelvises, in fact, since I saw you with two of them. Two men, that is, with one pelvis each, though there is your pelvis too to reckon with. It made quite a show of itself out there on the dance floor, not to be slighted or overlooked in any way, sticking like a magnet to the erratic rhythms of those young men, their jeans curving and cupping in all directions, of making promises of things yet to come. Which way to go, you must have asked yourself a dozen times at least, as the young man with the smile turned this way, and the young man with the dreamy eyes turned that. And you were dazed in circles spinning, this way and that way, brushing up against them, in confusion, body parts in gentle friction, sliding back and forth, nearly seeming like you didn't mean to do it. Did you mean to do it? Could they feel your nipples harden? Did they know what must have happened as your thighs began to stick together, throbbing to the music? At least there was music you could hide behind and make it look like dancing. I'm wondering just how much attention young men pay.
I miss dancing.
I miss dancing. Well, I think I've maybe got one that will be a nice transition in that it's about kind of sex, but kind of cheese and pickle sandwiches.
Obvious combination.
Wait, how are they different?
Sorry, darling?
How are they different? I don't understand.
Bit tautologous, I know, but you know.
Very important to remember.
Always, what can you do? So I'll maybe do that one, and then we can see if anybody has anything that they would like to offer. Sound all right? Okay. All right. Mute all of your shit, or if anyone wants to mute themselves, that would be very helpful. So this is Go to Bed with a Cheese and Pickle Sandwich by Mandy Coe. It is life enhancing. It doesn't chat you up. You have to make it. A cheese and pickle sandwich is never disappointing. You don't lie there thinking, am I too fat, too fertile, too insecure? Your thoughts are clear. Your choice is simple. To cut it in half or not to cut it in half. How thin to slice the cheese and where you should place the pickle. From a cheese and pickle sandwich, you do not expect flowers, poems, and acts of adoration. You expect what you get, cheese and pickle. You want, you eat, and afterwards you have eaten. No lying awake resentful, listening to it snore. Safe snacks. It comes recommended.
That's great.
So I feel like we've segued quite nicely out of the sensual depths.
Do we have more food poetry?
More food poetry. Oh, mate, if there's one thing I have in addition to sex poetry, it's food poetry.
Again, I don't understand.
Well, would anybody else like to read anything? Does anyone have something they think would follow on nicely, or anything they'd like to bring to the table?
I mean, mine's a little bit about love, but a little bit about food.
Perfect. Let's have that.
But it also stays in the sensual category. Can you guys hear me okay on my laptop?
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. Sweet. This is the first poem I wrote in 10 years, and I'm really happy with it, especially considering that. And it's a poem that I wrote for a dear friend. Many years ago, I was lucky enough to meet someone whose warmth surrounded me, as if I'd walked up to a fire. She told me of baking so rich, its flavor lingered on the tip of my tongue, tied into stories so full of depth, their emotion radiated off of and through me. Her voice so melodic, every rise and fall I held on as if her tune were the tale itself. And when we danced, oh, when we danced, our bodies fit like layers of a cake cut down to reveal exactly what's inside, carefully and comfortably connected as if frosted together, drizzling into every twist and turn, instruments piping a moment through our bodies, a moment so raw and sweet you could eat it off a spoon. Still, when all is still. When I can most feel the ocean stirring between us and the darkness of my night, when her sun is about to rise. I can hear her whispers sprinkled in the distance. Have a small dance, just for yourself. And I do. And I can't help but think of her. As I have this dance for myself, her warmth nearly on my skin, her scent not quite on my nose, her connection still melting into me. Still, when all is still. She is ever present, even when, and possibly especially when, I dance for myself.
Oh, I miss dancing.
Oh, hi, Liz.
Me too.
Hi.
I assume it's this and not the last thing I see before I die.
That's bad.
Very
My
Cirque
dad
du
said he was
Soleil.
creeped out as well. Sorry, I've today's daily the theme for today's like daily creative challenge there's a Brighton daily creative challenge thing, and today's theme was circus, and we've been watching Cirque du Soleil. So I was like, finally, I get to get on my face.
That is cool as hell.
But oh my god, oh
Yeah, swoon. High key swoon.
Thank you.
That was beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah, so anyways, now I want to write more poetry.
Yes.
Yeah, I want
Yes.
to also get writing.
Mm-hmm.
That was amazing.
Yeah.
I have another lovely food poem if people are in the mood for food poetry.
Always.
Yes.
Or if if at any point anyone goes, oh, I think I would have a poem that I would like just holler up that kind of, I don't want to bogart the poetry. So this is, do some music. Yes. So this is a poem that I particularly love, and I think I sent to, I don't know, Gordon, did I send it to you or I sent it to Zach. It's called Goulash by Myra Schneider. A crucial ingredient is the right frame of mind, so abandon all ideas of getting on. Stop peddling, dismount, go indoors and give yourself masses of time. Then begin by heating a pool of oil in a frying pan and, Mrs. Beeton style, take a dozen onions, even though the space you're working in is smaller than the scullery in a Victorian mansion. Pull off the papery wrappings and feel the shiny globe's solidity before you chop. Fry the segments in 3 batches. Don't fuss about weeping eyes. With a wooden spoon, ease the pieces as they turn translucent and gold. When you've browned but not burnt the cubes of beef, marry meat and onions in a deep pan. Bless the mixture with stock, spoonfuls of paprika, tomato puree and crushed garlic. Enjoy the Pompeian red warmth. Outside, the sun is reddening the pale afternoon, and you'll watch as it sinks behind blurring roofs, the raised arms of trees, the intrepid viaduct. In the kitchen's triumph of colour and light, the meat is softening, and everything in the pot is seeping into everything else. By now you're thinking of love, the merging which bodies long for, the merging that's more than body. While you're stirring the stew, it dawns on you how much you need darkness. It lives in the underskirts of thickets where sealed buds coddle green, where butterflies folded in hibernation could be crumpled leaves. It lives in the sky that carries a deep sense of blue and a thin boat of moon angled as if it's rocking. It lives in the silent larder and upstairs in the airing cupboard where a padded heart pumps heat. In the well of bed where humans lace together. Time to savour all this as the simmering continues, as you lay the table and place at its centre a small jug in which you've put 3 tentative roses and sprigs of rosemary. At last you will sit down with friends and ladle the dark red goulash onto plates bearing beds of snow-white rice. As you eat, the talk will be bright as the garnets round your neck. as those buried with an Anglo-Saxon king in a ship at Sutton Hoo, and the ring of words will carry far into the night.
That was seriously so nice.
Isn't that lovely?
Goulash.
In my life.
Goulash.
Not to be all sentimental, but can we, like, I don't know, eventually when we do actually get everyone back together physically in the same place, I would be super down to, like, make some fucking goulash and hear that poem again.
Yeah.
Yes, like a Storytime version of a Burns night supper.
Exactly.
Can we have a chocolate course as well, please, obviously?
Oh,
Can we have
yeah.
a chocolate course, of course. That actually I feel like we need to do. That just needs to be an event. Now,
I would love
Storytime chocolate.
It'll be such a weird mix of new traditions, like we all dress in black and white and a little bit of red, and like nothing makes any sense unless you've been here. Like,
And swans.
We turn up to wider dance events and they'll be like, did you guys join like a cult within the cult? Like, is there some sort of like
We're all carrying
volunteer cult?
spoons.
It's the apocalypse, baby. It's all about establishing new cults.
Importantly, of course, other dancers will have been doing the same thing, so we all show up thinking that we're the new clique, and they will show up thinking they're the new clique.
Yeah, here yoga's real, really got some shit going down in there. So.
Oh yeah.
yoga sounds lovely, actually.
Yeah, it does. But there's only so many cliques I can be in. I'm like, this is it. I've chosen.
I feel like we need to have a weekend though where we have yoga with Shri that ends with poetry, and then we, like, for whoever wants to cuddle can chill and cuddle and have some poetry sharing, and we'll make a goulash to nourish ourselves after. We can get it going before we do yoga. It'll just simmer the whole time. Be ready by the time.
Highland fusion.
That's just called like
Highland fusion. It's called Highland fusion.
This sort of, I feel like this already happened, but we just didn't know how good it was gonna get, and now we've.
I knew it was good.
Yeah.
I feel like because it's specifically things that are carrying people through lockdown, it's like the opposite of the lockdown online festivals that are happening, in which we all take our lockdown activities back into the real world.
Ainsley, can I ask you a question about food?
About food?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm trying to make sourdough cinnamon buns.
Oh, you should talk to Zach.
I was going to say, where's Zach?
Well, you're here, and you like food just as much as Zach does.
I like food.
My
sourdough cinnamon buns.
So I mixed everything together, but it's not rising very much, and I'm wondering whether I should shape it before I go to bed, or whether I should leave it overnight and see if it rises and then shape it.
I've never made sourdough cinnamon buns. Wait.
I made sourdough cinnamon buns recently, and I had a really difficult time of it, and it basically turned into like cinnamon biscuits more than anything else, but they were still tasty. But yeah, I don't know what I did wrong.
Katie, like, Zach has been making cinnamon buns like 16 times a day.
He's been like workshopping it.
Like
Zach, there are many delicious
sourdough cinnamon buns down. Like,
oh,
everything
the
after him.
Swedish French boy. Does French, but he does it in Swedish.
She does it in Swedish, but she can learn.
That's what you told me.
Yes.
Just
you
to
want to
bring
learn
this
it
back
in
to poetry
Swedish,
for a
I
second.
can send you a video of an adorable person making cinnamon.
I watched about half of it. It's an adorable video.
Okay, you found it.
Yeah, but it used fresh yeast. It wasn't sourdough. It doesn't solve my problem. Like, if they were normal yeasted cinnamon buns, I would shape them and assume that they would rise.
He's got another one.
This guy would definitely make it sourdough style.
Much as I hate sourdough, I was gearing up for the most perfect segue because everyone was talking about like what they're doing in the pandemic, and Rory
Frankie
has a request. No, that's totally fine. But I was so psyched that the conversation had just developed naturally into the theme of what everyone is doing during the pandemic. And Rory has requested a poem that is called Miss Pandemic 2020. So I just want to kind of divert divert back. So can
During the pandemic, everyone is making sourdough cinnamon buns.
Yeah, which is kind of like yoga, right? Like sourdough. This is all.
Just like yoga.
Stretch it. Roll it in the
Hey, that's so funny that we were just talking about. I actually have a poem right here that Rory has it is so relevant for this conversation that we've just naturally been having.
So relevant.
Shall I read it?
Yeah.
Right. So this is Miss Pandemic 2020. Sorry. You're all so silly. We're all so silly. Miss Pandemic 2020. You do not have to be productive. You are not a dairy cow or a field of wheat. Nothing will grind to a halt if you do not take up the ukulele, learn Spanish, start to crochet, master Pilates. This is not a competition. There will be no Miss Pandemic 2020. You cannot get a sash out of this. You cannot win a crisis. Only hold each second like you might hold a hand and think, what can I do with you? And you, and you. Before long, you will have collected a minute. Minute collecting is my new hobby. I'm practicing a lot. I'm trying to do it as carefully and slowly as possible. And when I cry, I use the minutes I've collected to keep myself up. I look around those minutes and see what lives there, and then I start again. Everything has changed. It is okay for this not to feel like a holiday. It's not a holiday. We are scared of air. I tried to do yoga yesterday, but instead swore at the screen and had a coffee, and that's okay.
That's what we all needed.
So perfect.
I feel so seen.
Yeah.
I also did not make it through yoga, and I really want that bit to be true, because I went and just started eating and drawing halfway through yoga and had to just, it was bad. And such a good poem. Is it written down anywhere? Because I want to send it to like everyone.
Yes.
It is. I'll send it to you.
Yeah.
Yes, please.
Well, yeah, Rory, if you post it in the Storytime, well, we'll on the thread, we'll have a big thread where everyone will post all of their shit.
Yeah, honestly, like that is like the thing that a lot of my colleagues, and it's just everyone I know needs that message. So.
Yeah, I agree.
Definitely.
Excellent writing.
So I had some poems, but I've changed my mind, and I think there's a poem that I want to read, or a bit of a poem, because the actual poem's too long, which may be rubbish, but my thought is that if it is terrible, then that just means that other people might go, oh, I'd like to read after this one because I'm not following something amazing. So this is an encouragement for other people. So this is, because I realized we're reading a lot of modern poetry, which is pretty good. So I thought I'd read some old poetry. So this is The Odyssey by Homer. It's like,
oh my God!
The oldest
that's
poem.
Fine. That's fine. I'm fine.
It does take traditionally, like, I don't know, 3 or 4 days to read. So we don't have that much time. So I'm just going to take a tiny little snippet of it. This is a translation by Emily Wilson, which came out a few years ago, which was well renowned. I haven't read it myself, so I'm just going to read a bit. I don't know how long it will go on for. So yeah, I'll read a bit and then stop at an appropriate point, if that's okay with everyone.
Perfect.
And then someone can do something else. So just to set the scene, we're going to start in book 10, which is called The Winds and the Witch, and we're going to jump right in the middle of it. Just to set the scene, Odysseus is a great Greek warrior. He has just come back. He was finished up with a war. He's on his way home. It's all gone wrong. He's got a bit lost, and he's finally arrived on an island where a witch has turned a lot of his men into pigs because they were terrible people, and he's now he's not up to being turned into a pig, and he's now chatting to Circe, who starts this. She struck me with her wand and said, "Now go out to the sty and lie there with your men. but I drew my sharp sword from my thigh and leapt at her as if I meant to kill her. She screamed and ducked beneath the sword and grasped my knees and wailing asked me, "Who are you? Where is your city and who are your parents? I am amazed that you could drink my potion and yet not be bewitched. No other man has drunk it and withstood the magic charm, but you are different. Your mind is not enchanted. You must be Odysseus, the man who can adapt to anything. Bright flashing Hermes of the golden wand has often told me that you would sail here from Troy in your swift ship. Now sheathe your sword and come to bed with me. Through making love, we may begin to trust each other more." I answered, "Circe, how can you command me to treat you gently when you have turned my men to pigs, and you are planning to play tricks in telling me to come to bed with you? But so you can take my courage and my manhood when you have got me naked. I refuse to come to bed with you unless you swear a mighty oath that you will not form plans to hurt me anymore." When I said that, at once she made an oath as I had asked. She vowed and formed the oath, and then at last I went up to the dazzling bed of Circe.
Dun dun dun.
How would you be for reading some Homer after Stardust?
I guess that would be okay.
Yeah, I want to keep reading that, but I know that that's not the time. But one day. Also, you said it takes 3 days, Gordon. We have some time at the moment, so we wanted to have.
Yeah, Gordon, how would you feel
reading?
Like doing like a marathon, like a reading relay? We could do like a whole weekend relay where we
a readathon,
like read the Odyssey non-stop, like people reading over it at specific points.
It's so good.
Like the best nerdiest thing of my life, and I'm
yes.
Would we sleep?
Some people would sleep. The people who had like the 4 a.m. shift wouldn't sleep, but if you had like the 2 o'clock in the afternoon shift, then sure, you can sleep.
4 a.m. for you is fine for me. Just give me those.
Yeah, we can get them.
Yeah.
We just need to find like another person to be awake.
Yeah, we just need 2 of us, and then we can go back and forth until everyone falls asleep, and then we'll start again when people start to wake up.
That sounds so ideal.
It'd be weird if this hasn't already happened, but let's do it.
I'm fully up for it. I'm fully up for it. May I read a poem of mine?
Yes, please. Yes.
Which is just sort of thematically relevant vis-a-vis Helen of Troy. This was my first poem, or like my first kind of poem as an adult. So I wrote it for my sister, Helen. Kind of relevant background. My mum has blue eyes with like she's got a tiny kind of brown like dot in the blue of her eyes, which I don't have, but my sister does, which is called sectoral heterochromia. So the poem is called Sectoral Heterochromia. From the edge of the river, my mother shies a flat brown stone. A smooth worn river stone that fits her hand, skips once against the blue and lands 4 years behind me in my sister's eyes. They dive for it on summer days, the oyster boys. As the sandbook sways and buoys and breath seeds back like scattered pearls, dive and choke and rise blue blind, hands closing on water. Hip shot, slipshod, burning Troys, my mother's daughter. The Greeks knew her name. They sailed 1,000 ships between bronze skies and wine-dark seas to fetch back, what? A pebble, perhaps? A thunder egg laid in a woman's eyes. Who would not choose the locked box over the cash prize? Deeper than all, the need to know. to pare back skin of an ancient fruit and catch the glow of fires dreamt long ago, then lost. Paradise worth diving for, no matter the cost. They threw it away in the end, because it was not theirs to keep, because it was so flat and smooth and brown and the river so deep, they flung it out across the blue and thought it drowned. The tide comes round. The stone my mother found and tossed hop-skip across the water dropped a kiss, a soft bright ring that sank in eyes, in bone, and though I have no knack for skimming stones, I stand caught in the surge and bind of the moon's demand at the river's edge, to cup some crumpled fathomless thing and find a brown pebble rising, still warm from her hand.
That was amazing.
Dang hell, Frankie.
You were
Amazing.
That was beautiful.
Thank you very much.
This is not thematically relevant, but you said the word pebble, and Katie's asked me to read a poem about pobble.
Yes, yes, this is the kind of segue I am here for. Right, go to it.
So smooth. So I actually didn't know the poem, but I have just read it and love it. So excuse my rhythm because it's not going to be good. And I have no idea how to meet you all, so someone else is going to have to do that in a moment. Thanks. The pobble who has no toes. The pobble who has no toes had once as many as we. When they said, someday you may lose them all, he replied, fish fiddle-dee-dee. And his aunt Jabisca made him drink lavender water tinged with pink, for she said the world in general knows there's nothing so good for a pobble's toes. The pobble who has no toes swam across the Bristol Channel, but before he set out he wrapped his nose in a piece of scarlet flannel. For his aunt Jabisca said, no harm can come to his toes if his nose is warm, and it's perfectly known that a pobble's toes are safe, provided he minds his nose. The pobble swam fast and well, and when boats or ships came near him, he tinkledy-blinkledy winkled a bell, so that all the world could hear him. And all the sailors and admirals cried, when they saw him nearing the further side, he has gone to fish for his Aunt Jabisca's runcible cat with the crimson whiskers. But before he touched the shore of the Bristol Channel, a sea-green porpoise carried away his wrapper of scarlet flannel. And when he came to observe his feet, formerly garnished with toes so neat, his face at once became forlorn on perceiving that his toes were all gone. And nobody ever knew, from that dark day to the present, whoso had taken the pobble's toes in a manner so far from pleasant, whether the shrimps or crawfish grey or crafty mermaid stole them away. Nobody knew, and nobody knows, how the pobble was robbed of his twice 5 toes. The pobble who has no toes was placed in a friendly bark, and they rowed him back and carried him up to his Aunt Jabisca's park. And she made him a feast at his earnest wish of eggs and buttercups fried with fish. And she said, it's a fact the whole world knows that pobbles are happier without their toes. That's 100% the kind of poem I'm here for, so.
Very cool, very cute.
Very highbrow. I'm a big fan of the fact that we've had a Homer and the pobble.
Yeah.
Does anyone know, do you know the poem about Matilda?
Which one?
Matilda who told lies.
Yes!
Yeah.
And was burned to death.
Yes!
Yes. Frankie, please
Too
read on.
much happiness.
Hear it? It's by, who's it by? Is it Hilaire Belloc?
I don't know. I had a version with beautiful illustrations.
Yeah, I had one in a sort of children's compendium of poetry or whatever when I was a child, when I was a thoroughly middle-class child, clearly. But it's great. It's really nice. Would you fancy it?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So, this is Matilda, who told lies and was burned to death. Matilda told such dreadful lies, it made one gasp and stretch one's eyes. Her aunt, who from her earliest youth had kept a strict regard for truth, attempted to believe Matilda. The effort very nearly killed her, and would have done so had not she discovered this infirmity. For once, towards the close of day, Matilda, growing tired of play and finding she was left alone, went tiptoe to the telephone and summoned the immediate aid of London's noble fire brigade. Within an hour, the gallant band were pouring in on every hand, from Putney, Hackney Downs and Bow. With courage high and hearts aglow, they galloped, roaring through the town. Matilda's house is burning down! Inspired by British cheers and loud proceeding from the frenzied crowd, they ran their ladders through a score of windows on the ballroom floor and took peculiar pains to souse the pictures up and down the house, until Matilda's aunt succeeded in showing them they were not needed, and even then she had to pay to get the men to go away. It happened that a few weeks later, her aunt was off to the theatre to see that interesting play, The Second Mrs. Tanqueray. She had refused to take her niece to hear this entertaining piece, a deprivation just and wise to punish her for telling lies. That night, a fire did break out. You should have heard Matilda shout. You should have heard her scream and bawl and throw the window up and call to people passing in the street, the rapidly increasing heat encouraging her to obtain their confidence, but all in vain. For every time she shouted, "Fire!" they only answered, "Little liar." And therefore, when her aunt returned, Matilda and the house were burned.
Yes.
Brutal. Did anyone else used to listen to the tapes of Peter Cried Wolf and like find it absolutely fucking terrifying? No one else grew up with this, like really, really brilliantly done music to the Boy Who Cried Wolf with Peter and the like wolf, and it was one of the scariest.
Oh yes, that is now ringing a bell.
I'm pretty sure I've heard it. I just don't think it was ever terrifying.
Well, you are a very, very brave man, Michael. It was scary. Wolf was scary. I like that.
But listening to Matilda is very much taking me back to being a very small person.
Yeah. Would anybody else like to read a thing?
I have a. Oh.
No.
Okay, I have a silly poem that I found when I was about 13 years old from Poems with Attitude. I don't know if you can see this.
Oh my God.
Extreme.
Incredible.
Amazing.
Was it given to you by an English teacher who wore denim jackets and sat on backwards chairs a lot?
Well, when I was 13, I chose to buy this book.
You
that's
are
kind of
always been a complete.
I love you. I love you a lot. Like, it's very beautiful.
What sort of cult have I joined?
Do you guys want to hear a very short poem?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. You ready? Holiday romance. I was just 12 and she 13. Our tongues went round like a washing machine. Our smooching broke parental law. A slurping kiss that left lips sore. Romantic, adventurous holiday. Snogging in sandcastles, if only she'd stay. When I went home, I wrote her verse. Her letter back was cold and terse. Said I'd love her until the earth ends. But she replied, let's just be friends. And oh my heart, how it still bleeds for Sharon Smith who lives in Leeds.
So much. I love that it's like a companion piece to the kissing one.
I think there was basically just the entire, like an entire synopsis of Before Sunrise.
So good. Someone else said that they had one that they would like to read.
Yeah.
Who's
there are others I could do. If people are interested.
Yeah.
I've got one here that's kind of, I would describe like nostalgia and rage. I would describe it as.
Good combination.
What a powerful combo.
It's just a synopsis of the 90s.
Quite.
How many buns would you like?
It's called When the Economy Was Booming, and it's by Mindy Nettifree.
Lots of.
We used to masturbate to Radiohead, or slide in some 9 Inch Nails and hook our thumbs around the jutting hip bones of some skinny, messy boy. The world was ours enough at least to piss and puke and fuck on. We repeated our favourite mistakes like solid gold records, spun our wheels in thrift store stilettos, dotted vanilla extract on our wrists. We erased the muscle memories of our mothers by cooking up recipes for homemade bombs. We spoke only in famous last words. We were free in the only way we knew how. Nihilist joy horse, kids kicking up sand, raging, scowling, neo-Marxist darlings. The earth we knew was made of crushed shoebox caskets and chalk lines and the hot dust we all turned to. You have to make your own sense. Fear wants all or none of you, so become the bad element. Beat him to the punch. It will always be dangerous to be a girl, to be anything so soft. Better to carry a lit cigarette, spike your charm bracelets. Walk with a death wish so strong the Santa Ana dogs whine your song. Better to control the lighting you will be objectified in, even if it's dark, even if you can't see anything at all.
Badass. Very cool. I have an angry feminist poem.
Fuck yeah!
Interested in angry feminist poetry.
If we're going in that direction, I also have the World's Wife collection, which is
Yeah!
So we could have something from that.
I would be up for that very much. Okay, so hold on. So this is oh god, it's another one of mine, which feels a bit self-indulgent, but I promise I won't do any more. I
indulge.
Please do more.
Yeah, do more. The last one was incredible.
Okay, so I wrote this like a few years ago. It was like pre Me Too, and like I was a sort of only a kind of a chrysalid, a little baby chrysalid feminist who thought that I had, invented and discovered the idea that catcalling was maybe not super good.
Feminine.
It's like, well, it's a bit naive, but I'm still pretty proud of it. Okay. So this is called catcalling. You should be careful what you call a cat. It looks sweet, but it's not. It looks cute, but it's got claws and teeth. It draws blood, chews meat. Don't give me that kitty, kitty, kitty. Don't tell me that you think I'm pretty or that I would be pretty if I just smile more. I said smile, you stupid whore. This is what you're asking for. This is what you'll get. Catching at me like a juicy fruit, flesh loose and wet. You want to sink your teeth in. Feel it run down your chin. Fill your mouth a flood in drought. Manna from heaven. Go ahead then. Eat me. Bite me. What I mean is fight me. Let me fight you. Let me scratch and bite you. It's not play. This is life and death. Drawn breath, chest tight, heart humming fast as mice, adrenaline running like electric light wired to the veins. And I'm sorry, what was it you wanted? What was it you thought you'd gain by causing pain and fear? What exactly did you think was happening here? There's a gap here. Somewhere there's a trap set, baited, ready to snap. Cheer up, love, it might never happen. But it's happening now. It happens every time, and how am I supposed to cheer up or smile more or smile at all when this roof's getting hotter? Sack sinks in the rising water, and more often than not, I can't move at all. Just freeze like ice, only rising to the boil at night. Lying in bed with open, unfocused eyes and fantasize about violent retribution, final restitution, a way to right the wrongs, part the waves, free the slaves, Catwoman here to save the day. Maybe not, but still I'm training hard. Every day I'm toughening my scars, and next time you cross my path, I swear to God, Bats, I'll send you back to that cave in a body bag. No flirting and sparring, no repartee, I will bury you and dance on your grave. Don't get me wrong, I'm not brave. I'm just fucking furious. We all are. Because here's the thing. Even the most family-friendly puss slips away when day winds up and play gives way to prey, to track their own in their own way. Cats are lone, but not me, not us. This cunt hunts in packs. A posse of pussies, we're on the attack, and this paint means war. Ruby woo red in tooth and claw. But there's always more. There's something moving underneath the floor. Behind the skirting boards, dear God, they're in the walls. They'll never get them all. They just keep coming, wave on wave, teeth growing non-stop, chop, chop, night and day, so they've got to wear them down, and they'll wear you down, tear you down, bear you to the ground. Little masons with their chisels that are always carving, even when they're not hungry, and they're always hungry, always starving, always gnawing. If you stop gnawing on me, how long will it take for your teeth to be so long you can't eat, can't speak, bone swords pushing through your cheek? It'll take a while, but that's okay. I'll wait. Now there's something that would make me smile. There's something that'll raise a grin, but I'll begin with this. If I'm a cat, then you're a mouse. This is my house. These are my rules. Go blunt your tools on someone else's door. If I want to lick myself clean on the front room floor, I will. I'll never come when you call. And if it comes to that, why does anybody keep a cat around? To pet and love and take cute pictures of, sure, but I'm a working cat. Puss in cowboy boots. I'm the sheriff of this town, and there's not enough room for both of us, pal. This is no OK Corral. This is just cleaning house. And after all, that's why I'm here, to keep the rodents down.
Wow.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Woo! Frankie Porter for Catwoman.
Yes.
Yes.
Frankie, you actually reminded me, I went trawling through my old folders. I have a poem about men's rights.
Yes!
Okay.
Yes, I want
so,
that.
Me and a bunch of people on Twitter, like basically each cranked out a line each that then got put together into this fucking thing. But it was because at the time, some like goon lord was trying to get the trend, the hashtag I need masculism going. You know, like feminism, but masculinism.
Masculism. Oh, I want to vomit.
Just you wait, Liz. Just you wait.
I love that shot of Liz sitting up being like, I want to vomit.
Yes. I'm sorry I don't have a fedora to hand. Otherwise, I absolutely would be just miladying the shit out of you right now.
Oh, no.
God.
Okay.
No.
All right.
I'm excited.
All right. You can't see in the frame, but I'm wearing my most formal evening jorts. Okay. I am a masculinist. I need masculism. Hashtag I need masculism. Because 21st century cynical ideology tries to not only equate the positions of victim/victimizer, but reverse them entirely. Sorry, I forgot to mention the first two stanzas are actual dickheads. Anyway, hashtag, I need masculism because I shouldn't automatically have to pay for a dinner because of my gender. Hashtag, I need masculism because being really tall doesn't mean I should have to help women get stuff from the top shelf in the supermarket. Hashtag, I need masculism because no one knows who is supposed to open the door anymore. I've been in a standoff with a woman for 2 hours now, and neither of us are going anywhere. Hashtag, I need masculism because I took my annoyance at the wife always being smarter in sitcoms and fashioned it into an actual political philosophy. Hashtag, I need masculism because women live with the constant threat of violence, but I have to fear someone on Tumblr being mean about my fedora. Hashtag, I need masculism because I can't figure out this goddamn sandwich press and mum is at the store. Hashtag, I need masculism because I learned all these sex moves in Game of Thrones and I am not going back to the darkness I once languished in. Because I am a petulant, shrieking child. Because I literally think Earth is one of the Star Trek planets where Captain Kirk is sentenced to a tinfoil loincloth and toils in the estrogen mines. Because I literally can't imagine a society in which my every whim isn't immediately pandered to. Hashtag, I need masculism because the impossible demands our society makes on men and the constant policing of gender roles sometimes just makes me want to cry, or at least tell someone how I feel about it. And I don't need masculism. I need to smash patriarchy.
Oh. So good.
Oh my God.
Love that.
I really enjoyed the fedora, Tumblr fedora comment.
Everything about that. That was so great. Oh, that was so good. Oh God, my face hurts. Oh man.
I had to read that at like a feminist poetry slam night, and like getting through the first 3 lines with an like trying to read the room was terrifying. Just like,
yeah.
please go with me on this, please. I know the optics are not great.
Gordon, I think you had some like LGBT Scottish version of some shit that sounded fucking great.
I do.
Gordon, before you start, I'm completely distracted by you being like green and red, and I'm wondering if we put on like the old style 3D glasses, what you'd look like.
It would be quite terrifying, but please.
He would come out of your computer screen and be present
Probably.
I'm actually there.
in your room.
Find my glasses.
I would be okay with
Is that what 3D
Yeah,
does?
I would be okay with that too.
Yes.
Where are my 3D glasses when I need them?
We're not in the 90s anymore.
Oh, those glorious 90s when we could all masturbate listening to Radiohead. Okay, so I've got a couple of options. This is the book which I love so much. It's basically a lot of Scottish myth.
I also have the book.
Oh.
So myself and Kazmira are going to take turns and read a couple of these, but I'm not sure where to start. Okay, I have 3 options for you. I have one that's just more feminism. I have one about a river and one about mermaids. Actually, mermen.
Mermaids.
Okay, so this one.
Maybe I could do the river one.
I love the river one. Yes, could you do the river one?
Why would you even ask a group of dancers whether they want the mermaid something or the anything that isn't a mermaid something?
So just on some background for those who aren't aware, so the mermaids in Scotland, in the Old Lore, they're called the Finn folk, and they live in a place called Finn Folkaheen. And some of the stories say that they have to marry a human, or else they lose their human-like appearance and turn back into the sort of things they are. So that's the concept of why they're up there chasing after the humans. Okay, and this one is called Finn Man. It's taboo for us to marry our own kind. We wither without human love, lose our powers and are returned to the sea, diminished, ugly, the glitter of being human washed away. Back then I knew what I was supposed to be looking for, but my eye was driftwood. My heart too loyal. My heart was a salmon leaping upstream to the place of my childhood, to him, the one I had given my oath to. We had been boys together on the seabed, far away from the sun's stare. This is all I am, his, a creature that will never be human. Here, where water is thicker than blood under the ocean's easy weight, we grow sleeker, slippery, scaled, unlimbed, tentacled, barnacled, bare as a shipwreck, monstrous, a pair of sea serpents with smooth silver coins for eyes. We shy from the surface glare in love with our new, old, beautiful selves, needing nobody's approval.
That's so good.
Wow. Wow.
So furthering my not saving any money at all in quarantine, I'm gonna like expand my poetry library massively.
Yeah,
You have a nice picture too.
Yeah.
No, that one doesn't.
Support that use of money. I did a more ridiculous one. So, like, offside of me moving in with my parents means I now do my shopping at Waitrose. In Waitrose, the wine collection is presented in beautiful bottles, and there's things like pudding wine and port next to all the other things. So I now have a very delightful wine collection and a lot less money than I meant to part with today. So, quarantining well.
But you are smiling quite a lot about this, so I think it might be the right
Cheers,
decision.
everybody. Basically.
Yes, I'm drinking. I'm drinking for
drinking.
Yay!
What have you got?
Yeah, it looks so blue or
Hey.
green.
I've got prosecco with blueberries in.
Oh,
Fancy lady.
That is. I didn't buy prosecco.
What?
Yeah, I got pudding wine, port, and
Are you?
Oh, how can I live without bubbles? Another trip to the shops for an essential, I think. Don't worry if anyone got 3 watches this, I won't do that. I won't. It's unrecorded. I'm scared.
Yeah, we've got you witnessed now.
Very good.
Would anyone like to read anything else or have anything else read?
You want some Carol Ann Duffy?
Oh, yes.
It's hard to pick one.
I was allowed to pick one of the ones that I studied at school.
I'm not allowed to.
No, because I had
Which
to.
ones did you study?
I did Me Time and Valentine and another one.
I don't think those are in this collection, so I think you're safe. So it's a collection of sort of classic myths, fairy tales, famous men from the women's perspective. I might do Mrs. Beast, but I'll do Mrs. Darwin, which is 4 lines, and then Mrs. Beast. This is a palate cleanser. 7th April, 1852. Went to the zoo. I said to him, "Something about that chimpanzee reminds me of you." Right. This one's longer. Mrs. Beast. These myths going round, these legends, fairy tales, I'll put them straight. So when you stare into my face, Helen's face, Cleopatra's, Queen of Sheba's, Juliet's, then deeper, gaze into my eyes, Nefertiti, Mona Lisa's, Garbo's eyes, think again. The little mermaid slit her shining silver tail in 2, rubbed salt into that stinking wound, got up and walked, in agony in fishnet tights, stood up and smiled, waltzed, all for a prince, a pretty boy. a charming one, who'd dump her in the end, throw her overboard. I could have told her, look, love, I should know. They're bastards when they're princes. What you want to do is find yourself a beast. The sex is better. Myself, I came to the house of the beast, no longer a girl, knowing my own mind, my own gold stashed in the bank, my own black horse at the gates, ready to carry me off at one wrong word, one false move, one dirty look. But the beast felt his knees at the door to kiss my glove with his mongrel lips. Good. Showed by the tears in his bloodshot eyes that he knew he was blessed. Better. Didn't try to conceal his erection, size of a mule's. Best. And the beast watched me open, decant, and quaff a bottle of Chateau Margaux 54, the year of my birth, before he lifted a paw. I'll tell you more. Stripped of his muslin shirt and his corduroys, he steamed in his pelt. Ugly as sin. He had the grunts, the groans, the yelps, the breath of a goat. I had the language, girls. The lady says, do this, harder. The lady says, do that, faster. The lady says, that's not where I meant. At last, it all made sense. The pig in my bed was invited, and if his snout and trotters fouled my damask sheets, why, then, he'd wash them, twice. Meanwhile, here was his horrid leather tongue to scour in between my toes. Here were his hooked and yellowy claws to pick my nose, if I wanted that, or to scratch my back till it bled. Here was his bullock's head, to sing off-key all night where I couldn't hear. Here was a bit of him, like a horse, a ram, an ape, a wolf, a dog, a donkey, dragon, dinosaur. Need I say more? On my poker nights, the beast kept out of sight. We were a hard school, tough as fuck, all of us beautiful and rich. The woman who married a minotaur, Goldilocks, the bride of the bearded lesbian, Frau Yellow Dwarf, et moi. I watched those wonderful women shuffle and deal. 5 and 7 card stud, sidewinder, hold'em, draw. I watched them bet and raise and call. One night, a head-to-head between Frau Yellow Dwarf and the bearded's bride was over the biggest pot I had seen in my puff. The Frau had the queen of clubs on the bays and the bearded queen of spades. Final card, queen each. Frau Yellow raised. Bearded raised. Goldilocks' eyes were glued to the pot as though porridge bubbled there. The Minotaur's wife lit a stinking cheroot. Me, I noticed the Frau's hand shook as she placed her chips. Bearded raised a final time, then stared. Stared so hard you felt your dress would melt if she blinked. I held my breath. Frau Yellow swallowed hard, then called. Sure enough, Bearded flipped her aces over. Diamonds, hearts, the pubic ace of spades. And that was a lesson learned by all of us. The drop-dead gorgeous bride of the bearded lesbian didn't bluff. But behind each player stood a line of ghosts unable to win. Eve, Ashputel, Marilyn Monroe, Rapunzel slashing wildly at her hair, Bessie Smith unloved and down and out, Bluebeard's wives, Henry VIII's, Snow White cursing the day she left the 7 dwarves, Diana Princess of Wales. The sheepest beast came in with a tray of schnapps at the end of the game, and we stood for the toast. Fay Ray, then tossed our fiery drinks to the back of our crimson throats. Bad girls, serious ladies, mourning our dead. So I was hard on the beast, win or lose, when I got upstairs, those tragic girls in my head, turfing him out of bed, standing alone on the balcony, the night so cold I could taste the stars on the tip of my tongue. And I made a prayer, thumbing my pearls, the tears of Mary, one by one, like a rosary. Words for the lost, the captive beautiful, the wives, those less fortunate than we. The moon was a hand mirror breathed on by a queen. My breath was a chiffon scarf for an elegant ghost. I turned to go back inside. Bring me the beast for the night. Bring me the wine cellar key. Let the less loving one be me. Recommend the collection.
Yeah. Is that the one that's got Frau Freud in?
Probably.
It's all about willies.
Possibly cigars.
Yes. Want it?
Yes, please.
Okay. Ladies, for argument's sake, let us say that I've seen my fair share of ding-a-ling, member and jock, of todger and number and Percy and cock, of tackle, of three for a bob, of William Winky. In fact, you could say I'm as au fait with Hunt the Salami as Miss M. Lewinsky, equally sick up to here with the beef bayonet, the pork sword, the Savoy, love muscle, nightcrawler, dong, the dick, prick, dipstick and wick, the rammer, the slammer, the Rupert, the schlong. Don't get me wrong. I've no axe to grind with the snake in the trousers, the wife's best friend, the weapon, the python. I suppose what I mean is, ladies, dear ladies, the average penis, not pretty. The squint of its envious, solitary eye, one's feeling of pity.
Bina, please send that to us, because I have so many, like, that is another one where I'm like, yep, need to send that to people. Immediate circulation list in my head, not aspersions on my friends, but there are some who will enjoy that.
You should definitely set up like a program that will auto send that to anyone that gets sent a dick pic.
Yes.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
So it just
I love that as a response so much.
Yeah. What, you like kind of like dick rolling?
With poetry.
Thank you, Kitty and Rory. You are my audience.
What was it next?
I recently got unsolicited dick pics. Dick pics are cute.
What type of pics?
Dick pics.
Oh my god, that's so cute.
They basically look like Bambi, but with like bigger eyes and look cuter.
They've got weird teeth, right?
I don't know about the teeth.
They got little, like, tiny vampire teeth.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, like little weird, like, incisor-looking things. They're tusks, but they're just like sticking down. They look like vampire. Yeah, vampire deer.
They're very cute.
They are super cute.
Periodically, Zach will send me an unsolicited lit pic, which is just a picture of what the book he's reading at the time. Which is very wholesome.
Can I read a very mildly creepy poem about hummingbirds?
Yeah.
Yes. Why would you even need to ask? But
sexy. It's by D.H. Lawrence.
Oh no. No.
Sorry. I don't need to read it.
No. Definitely do. If you're reading it, I will be into it, but also D.H. Lawrence, man.
Sorry. I can imagine in some other world, primeval dumb, far back in that most awful stillness that only gasped and hummed, hummingbirds raced down the avenues. Before anything had a soul, when life was a heave of matter, half inanimate, this little bit chipped off in brilliance and went whizzing through the slow, vast, succulent stems. I believe there were no flowers then, in the world where the hummingbird flashed ahead of creation. I believe he pierced the slow vegetable veins with his long beak. Probably he was big, as mosses and little lizards, they say, were once big. Probably he was a jabbing, terrifying monster. We look at him through the wrong end of the long telescope of time, luckily for us.
Okay, I love that. I take it all back. Sorry.
So what about D.H. Lawrence? Like, what was that reaction? I don't know anything about him.
I don't know, I've got possibly some sort of unjustifiable prejudice against him. I think he doesn't like women.
Okay.
Which I'm not super into. But
why?
Weird, right?
Yeah.
But that was fucking great. That was so well read, Katie. I feel a bit flustered.
Make us all feel flustered, Frankie.
Would you like a sexy poem? Would you like?
Can I just interrupt? Can we do a pause? Because I really, really need to just run to the bathroom, and I don't want to miss a sexy poem because of that. But
I mean,
I don't know if anyone wants to just chat randomly for like 2 minutes.
You know, I need to pause as well so that I can write down my pitch for like Jurassic Park, but with giant fucking hummingbirds.
Yeah.
That's horrifying.
Yeah.
It's really bad.
Okay, chat time. I'll be back.
Bye.
Liz, you look even creepier when you're slightly larger picture and closer to the...
Yeah, I'm just like
wow.
picking at my eyes. 'Cause I like slightly changed design focus halfway through, but yeah.
I love it.
Are you like a creepy cracked doll?
Just there's nothing that like I'm like researching out a picture, be unable to choose between like 5 different things, and then just have to go at doing all of them all at once.
It's like a member of Motley Crue joined the glitch mob.
Yeah, it's basically like, so in Cirque du Soleil they have these like incredible, look like kind of fancy woodland kind of nymph type things that are like quite dark and mischievous and mystical. So it's that vibe, but yeah.
See, Cirque du Soleil, right?
Yeah.
Would you recommend it?
Yes, Mike has finally been setting up a weekly Friday night before Real Night Circus, watching the best of shows. So and they are brilliant. Well, like the one last week was really, really good. So
the one last week was great. Me and Nick watched a different one yesterday. It wasn't as good.
Yeah, but I think they'll vary.
What was the one that you watched last week? Because I didn't make it and I would love to see it.
The one
The
from
10th of April one
10th of
was
April.
fantastic.
Would recommend that. Yeah.
It's so good. It has really sexy guys in a giant hamster wheel.
Oh my god, that's exclusively what I'm into.
The Cirque du Soleil. But yeah, I really want to have a fusion night that's like themed Cirque du Soleil, as you can tell by me doing this on my own for no reason.
Yes, please. I would like
Island Fusion Retreat.
Yeah. Oh yes. Like the costumes are really incredible. It's a really great vibe.
See, Cirque du Soleil cracks me up because like it is on one level absolutely like internationally renowned high art and spectacle and everything, and it's really, really fucking good. People like spend decades honing their like ability to do that stuff. It rules. But Cirque du Soleil was also like had a cameo role. Like they actually taped a live Cirque du Soleil performance for a scene in Paul Blart Mall Cop 2. So like
I am trying to convince Rory
but
to...
is it But is it Blart?
Is it Blart? I've been trying to convince Rory to watch Cirque du Soleil with me, and he's been very resistant.
It's great. Like I get very stressed out by the circus, and I've been really enjoying it. It's also just a real like joy to see people be good at it, because Brighton is full of shit circus hippies. Like
yes, you cannot move for devil's stakes.
You genuinely can't. You go to a party that's outdoors, someone's gonna get some fire out, and 3 girls are gonna strip and then be like, "Look, I'm good at a hoop," and then drop a hoop around them whilst being naked, and everyone's gonna be like, "That's art." That is Brighton.
Breaking a hip every 20 minutes because they trip over a slack line. Yeah.
That's like Sorry, I don't have strong feelings about Brighton's hippie scene at all. Not at all.
So here.
But in closing, I would be down to watch Cirque du Soleil, but I always find myself disappointed when I realize that it's not going to be bookended by the comedy stylings of Kevin James. And his very, very funny bit about being overweight and therefore worthy of contempt.
Kevin James.
Good stuff. The man, he falls over and everyone tells him he's dumb and bad.
Oh,
And then he farts.
Oh, no.
Oh,
I mean, that's, you know, the final sign of being unworthy is
okay. I'm sorry I
Gassiness.
derailed that poetry night into just yelling about Paul Dartmoor Cop 2.
Also,
Right,
if
this is
anyone
the
wants
best about
like
circus
self,
wannabes. This is a safe space for everyone to yell about the shit that bothers them.
Wow.
On the record.
But,
Hey, we've got a Zach.
Oh my god,
Actually,
Zach's here.
we've got a Zach's droid. I don't know what that is.
Ooh.
Zach, you are 2 hours late.
The Blatty without you.
You've
Yeah, I'm just walking outdoors at night.
Nice.
you missed the group sex.
Yeah. Really good.
We finally figured out how to have an orgy on Zoom.
So, yeah, that's why I've got this one.
Well, you're still recording, so.
You are
catch up later.
You are potentially just in time.
Every orgy needs a voyeur.
If y'all
That's
still
the role at the orgy normally is the one reading poetry. Is that not everyone's role? The most fun, right? That's what they told me. Is that's the person who's having the most fun is the person who gets to read the poetry to the orgy.
That's the role that I would want, if I'm honest.
We are straying into some hysterical literature territory here.
Oh my god, don't even get me fucking started on hysterical literature. Okay. Okay. I don't know. Okay, we can't get to I'll get too all up in the air about it. Would you like
This is still like 15. We may be beyond PG-13, but we're like a 15A maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean it is nearly 11 o'clock at night. I feel well past the water.
After the watershed, yeah.
Yeah. So do you want this fruity pup?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. And I think maybe after this we should start thinking about winding up because it is nearly 11 o'clock at night and we have been reading poetry at each other for hours, which has been fucking amazing. But perhaps people have other things they want to do with their evenings. But we can.
Zach just got you.
Yeah, true. Right. Okay. So I don't know if you'll know this one. I've definitely sent this to some people before. This is by Kim Adenizio and it's called For Desire. Give me the strongest cheese, the one that stinks best. And I want the good wine, the swirl in crystal surrendering the bruised scent of blackberries or cherries, the rich spurt in the back of the throat, the holding it there before swallowing. Give me the lover who yanks open the door of his house and presses me to the wall in the dim hallway and keeps me there until I'm drenched and shaking, whose kisses arrive by the boatload and begin their delicious diaspora through the cities and small towns of my body. To hell with the saints, with martyrs of my childhood meant to instruct me in the power of endurance and faith. To hell with the next world and its pallid angels swooning and sighing like Victorian girls. I want this world. I want to walk into the ocean and feel it trying to drag me along like I'm nothing but a broken bit of scratched glass, and I want to resist it. I want to go staggering and flailing my way through the bars and back rooms, through the gleaming hotels and weedy lots of abandoned sunflowers, and the parks where dogs are let off their leashes in spite of the signs, where they sniff each other and roll together in the grass. I want to lie down somewhere and suffer for love until it nearly kills me, and then I want to get up again and put on that little black dress and wait for you, yes, you, to come over here and get down on your knees and tell me just how fucking good I look.
Oof. As Malcolm would say, woof.
Right? That is potentially my favourite sexy poem.
Woof, indeed.
Yep.
So good.
That'll do it for you, Gordon.
Check, please.
I joined at the right time.
Yeah,
Now
we
we move on to sexy poetry
yeah,
hour.
we didn't actually have the group sex yet. We saved it till you got here.
So kind.
Does anyone else have poems they would like to read? Bearing in mind that we are tailing towards potentially closing the session.
Zach?
No.
I feel like we've just ended on a high right there.
Yeah, kind of.
Okay. Everyone happy to end with that?
I want more, but that's too good an ending point.
Yeah.
Once you've climaxed, it's like that's it.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah, I kind of just want
Huddle
to
for a bit and then go to bed. Would people be up to maybe doing this again sometime?
But yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, cool. So we don't have to blow our entire poetry wad now. Yeah.
We didn't read all the poems then, no?
Wait for round 2.
Okay.
And we can always read poems again.
That is very true. That is very true. Right.
Can everyone just remember to put their poems up in the comments?
Oh yeah.
On
I've already
Storytime?
put Miss Pandemic up. But yeah. Like if you can put up the title of the poem and the name of the poet as well, that'd be rad.
Thanks, Rory. Thanks, Kitty. Great suggestions.
Cool. Thanks, everybody. What an amazing session.